people in the business act like they can't avoid having sex with somebody else. You know what I'm saying? Like you just pretty much said, like, yo, that's y'all do that, I could go do this. But when people be like, yo, like, you know, I did it or such and such did it because that's the only way they was gonna get a deal, you know. But you do have a choice in the business, right?
And you don't have to take the deal.
Right.
So if you took the deal, that means definitely you sold your soul because you somebody who you didn't want to be for the deal. You know what I'm saying? So the only person that you can get mad at is the man in the mirror. You understand? And one of the things we understand, one of the biggest tricks the devil ever did in his life, they said, was put a mirror in front of somebody. Usually when you see somebody complaining, they're complaining about what they see in the mirror.
That's
so you'd be
right.
like, in order for you to call me a jerk, that means you can identify with being a jerk. That means you're a jerk because you have jerk symptoms.
Right.
You know, if I'm stupid, then you call me stupid, then you got to be stupid because you are able to identify me. I didn't call you anything.
Right. I always say point the finger at yourself.
Point your finger at yourself.
And
you know,
also, when you see miserable people, they was miserable before I got to the room. You was miserable anyway. Now you see me, you want to, but you was already like that, so I'm not gonna let it get to me. You stay where you at.
Yeah, you just want to vent.
Yeah.
You need somebody to vent to. Now I vent sometimes, but I vent to like my auntie. I might vent to my brother. I don't vent. I just go and vent. I go tell people that I care about what's hurting me.
Right.
After I tell them what's hurting me, like even when I did the book, after I wrote the book, I was upset when I wrote the book when I originally did it. But after I wrote the book and read it, I'm not upset with this dude.
Right.
Like I'm 49 years old, man. Like you think I'm still walking around mad because I wasn't able to be a rapper and possibly got killed? I'd be like, thank God. Thank God I wasn't great. You know what I'm saying? Because all the great people keep getting knocked off. You know what I'm saying? Maybe God got another mission for me. It wasn't meant for me to be that. You know what I'm saying? So I'd be like, I'm even more stronger than what you was trying to make. You couldn't even make me more stronger than what God got going.
Right.
I don't need none of that. I don't need none of the publishing from it. None of that. You can have all of that.
Yes.
You know?
I saw that too. I said with myself, I said, man, I'm glad I didn't get signed. Yeah. Because of the people I know, most of them that got signed, they turned out to, they went way up and they came way down.
Way back down. That means they came down further. You'd be like, damn, when I met you, you wasn't on crack.
Right.
But you when you became famous, you on crack, all kind of stuff. Like you was better when you ain't had nothing.
Now, why is it that when a major artist gets dropped, they like most of them don't really try to go independent? They feel like it's just a monopoly or they blacklisted.
It's almost like the hurt of man. You know what I'm saying? The downfall of man. Every time, you know, I say it like this, Kamal. If the mountain was smooth, every time you tried to climb to the top, you slide back down.
Damn.
So the mountain has rough edges. The rough edges are for you to hold on to and climb, right? If it wasn't for the rough edges, you can't climb the mountain. So most people, when they get dropped, they slide back down this mountain. Right now they back down. So now the objective now is to get back up, but they can't get back up because they didn't hold on to the rough edges. So usually when the fall of man happens, they turn and say to God, or they turn to religion. You know what I'm saying? Like when you say Loon, he turned to his religion. When he felt he was in trouble, oh, the police is looking for me, they're gonna put me in prison for a minute. Oh, I need to turn to a religion. Mace, I turned to a religion. Shine, I turned to a religion. But you can get deeper than that. When Michael Jackson was going through his issues, he turned to a Muslim.
Boom.
When Cassius Clay was going to his issues, he turned into Muhammad Ali.
True.
It happens to all great people when you start looking for that connection of the band that helps you overcome whatever situation it is that you're in. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah.
It was blocking that Michael Jackson Muslim one because a brother had gave me some songs he was singing about Arabic and Muslim Islam. I was like, oh, and you would not get that nowhere, the news, nothing. It was like Michael, because I even think that might be part of the reason he's gone. Because like, you know, Michael said, vote for Trump. You're gonna vote for Trump. Michael said, be Muslim, you're gonna be Muslim. Like most of his fans gonna say, okay. You know what I'm saying? He has so
Whatever
much
Michael
influence.
says goes. You know,
Yeah.
that's the power of an entertainer. And sometimes when you know an entertainer has that power and they don't want to use it, that's whack too. Because you'd be like, you have the power to say some things and maybe change people's views and ways of thinking. Like I always looked at, you know, like when you look at, they put Puffy on the front, and I'm gonna stop speaking on him sometimes. I don't like to always have him the center of what I'm doing. He's just a character in my life. He's not what my life is about. Same thing with this movie. He's not. The movie's not about Puff. The movie's about my life. You know. But what was I saying there, Kamal?
Well, I want to tell you what your father told me. Your father said you learned something. Puff, in your life, you learned something.
Yeah.
And so you grew and your character built. Yeah, what you say? We were talking about Michael Jackson being Muslim and the influence people have.
Oh, got you. So I looked on the magazine one time and I was just staring at a picture of I think it was Entertainer, and the Entertainer had a watch on. It looked like, man, the watch was a Rolex. It was like, man, very expensive. And I was just looking at the chain. The chain he had on Jesus Christ all diamond up. I'm like, damn, that looked very expensive. And I'm like, wow, that image is on the magazine on the front of bookshelves and is being sold throughout the United States or throughout the world. So the average kid that picks it up and he looks at this magazine, he says, wow, that's a nice watch. I'll never be able to work hard and get it at the rate that I'm going. I'll never be able to get the watch or the chain or that. So then only thing that influences is it creates the prison rate. So now the prison is going to be packed with more brothers who wanted that watch, that chain. So that reaction that you're creating, that image that you're passing is such a negative image because it's almost making females say, okay, if you don't have this and you don't have that, then you shouldn't be on the front of the magazine or you shouldn't be in my life. You know how much strife that causes for a hardworking man who just wants to be respected by his queen at home, be respected by his family. You be like, because you don't have this, they feel like in order for you to have what you're talking about, you got to have that. And that's the wrong image. That image, sometimes we don't know, you know, that's why I be careful. You have to be careful. I say you got to be careful about the things you say. You have to be careful about the things you do because there's a lot of people watching.
Right. That's like Malcolm and the minister Farrakhan when like they was young. And it happened to most of us, a lot of us, when they said, oh, you should want to be a carpenter instead of a lawyer or something. Just that one sentence just mess you up. You know? So yeah, you're right, man. We have to keep dropping positivity, you know. I used to think positivity was corny. You know, you see somebody come like, I'm an astronaut and I'm positive and be good, young man, and go to school and get your education. It's like corny. Corny ain't listening to that. Go ahead and do this.
It's hard being positive. It's easy being negative. It don't even require energy to be negative. It requires energy to be positive.
Yep, you gotta, you're right, the strength. The strength to turn the other cheek, too.
Yeah.
That's strength. They can't always turn the other cheek, like you said, but sometimes,
Yeah. It's the amazing thing about energy in people is, you know, even when you know, and it's falling off, but just saying, when you're looking at energy, a lot of people, you say to them, you say, hey, you know, do you believe in Santa Claus? They say, no. I say, well, do you believe in God? They be like, no. And I'd be like, well, have you ever seen your heart? They say, no. Has it ever failed you? They say, no. I said, now you see how important it is to believe in things you can't see?
Right, there you go, brother.
Gotta have an imagination.
And that's important right now during this COVID quarantine thing. I had to realize that because it got to the point where, like, you know, the whole business works on events, right? You know that, tours and everything. And even me, like, I do open mics and showcases, and it's like stuff stopped. And even I was working on a movie. And like, I don't want to work on a movie. People got to put masks on and all of that. So I'm waiting and I'm waiting for the end. And I'm like, where's the end? So I can do what I do, but I don't see that end. But I still got to say, you know what? keep moving, keep seeing it in your mind, keep the faith. And it ain't easy. But at one point, I just said, you know what? Don't look at the numbers. You know what I'm saying? Don't look at the statistics. Don't look at the views. Just do what comes to you naturally, what God gave you, and just keep moving. And at some point, the rewards will be there.
Yeah, yeah. It's going. They say the day you lay off, the day it pay off.
Mm-hmm.
And you
That's
gotta
like the
lay
story
off.
with the gold. You ever hear it? The dude was digging for gold. He stopped digging. Somebody else came, dug, and found the gold.
Yeah, yeah. The day you lay off, the day it pay off.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? We talked about that the other day, even with the word scimitar, with the movie back on that, is what that means to me is everything dies at some point in time. So a tree is a tree. The leaves die, but the trees don't. The tree don't die. The
Right.
leaves die.
Right.
And a snake sheds in order to grow. You know what I'm saying? Everything loses something in order to become better. As people, we have to learn how to let certain things die in order to grow again, or to come back again another year. You know what I'm saying? So, meaning like I have hatred towards someone. I say, you know what? Right now, I need to let that hatred go, so it can die, and then I can grow new limbs. Because next year I need to be a pretty tree. You know what I'm saying? I don't need to be a tree that's. You ever seen weeds grow around a tree and kill the tree? They suffocate the tree falls. You know what I'm saying? So that's the same thing in life. You have a lot of people who growing and they have a lot of weeds around them, a lot of negative people. And you say, hey, in order for you to be that beautiful tree that you're destined to be and have those fruits fall off of you that are so tasteful for those that are able to receive them, you gotta have to let go of the weeds that's going
on. Right. So with this with the Shemitah, right, Day of Judgment, right, atonement, it's like I see it. I don't think a lot of people see it. I think okay, I'm gonna ask you the question. Is it an individual thing, or is it a collective thing, or is it both?
It's not an individual. It could be individual. It's just something that's on. It's just an energy.
Energy.
Yeah, like you remember the last time the world collapsed? Well, let's say when Wall Street crashes. If you take 2000 and what 2000, and then you got 7 years after 10, every 7 years is something's gonna happen.
Right.
The world is gonna collapse, or some hurricane, something, some people gonna get killed on an island or something like this. A lot of people. So usually those things happen around September. So like when you look at the Katrina, Hurricane Katrina, it's going around September. You got the hurricane that happened in Puerto Rico. You got one that was one in Haiti too. You got September 9/11.
Right.
You know, and then not only that, you start looking at events and you start looking at the Vietnam War. The first bomb that was dropped in Vietnam War was in September. The Holocaust started in September. So a lot of the music that we listen to is released in September. September is the first. It's the first physical on certain calendars. Is the first month of the year. September 23rd is Atonement Day. September 23rd is Atonement Day. Atonement Day is supposed to be the day that Jesus Christ was born. September 23rd is also known as Tishri 10 for anybody who wants to look at that and see how that goes. If Tishri 10 is September 3rd, 23rd, September is short for the number 7. October is the short for the number 8, but September is the 9th month and October is the 10th month. So that means how in the world y'all calling September Sep the 9th, and because it's just a little off, it's a little things going on there. So when you look at the September and you break it down to the worldly matters, I think Morris Levy said it when he went to jail. He called it the 7-year locust. It's a big big heavy thing in the Jewish community where they say every 7 years you have to let the land rest. You have to forgive people for their debts. You have to ask for forgiveness for the things that you've done wrong, for the people you wronged in life. And what that does is you saying, I'm letting myself, it's called, the beginning of fall. So you say during fall, the leaves fall, the leaves die. Fall, take a fall, brother, and then get back up.
Resurrection.
Yeah, resurrect. If you can't get back up after you fell, then you're down.
Oh. That's deep.
Yeah, you're down. So if you fall, you just get back up. You can use the same energy to get up that you use to complain. Most people fall and they be like, look, I fell. You be like, you just said, look, I fell. Instead of saying, let me get up. You know what I'm saying? You just gonna say, look, I fell. You know what I'm saying? We seen that. You know what I'm saying? We trying to see what you're gonna do after that, right?
Right.
So in Scimitar, it's about a whole bunch of events that happen in 7 years. Every 7 years. Morris Levy called it the 7-year locust. It can happen in a person's life. That means every 7 years. We take 2000, you add 7 years to 2000, then we might have Hurricane Katrina, 80, whatever that may be. Take 7 years, that's going to be 2014, 56, 17, 19, 20, 21. That's 2021, right? Which is this year, right?
Where?
We're sitting there going through the 7-year locust right now. Again, every 7 years, it's ready to go down like this. Right? Damn. Yeah.
So that reminds me of credit. Like after 7 years, your credit is clean. Like they can't come back and get you,
Yeah, 7 years. You're supposed to forgive. You're supposed to forgive. At some point in time, we forgive. We don't forgive each other, and we keep, thinking because you owe me $20 10 years ago. I'm like, you owe me $20 10 years ago, man. I let that go 7 years ago. I forgot. I stopped thinking about it. You know what I'm saying? Because in order for me to grow, I gotta let that go. I can't go on and carry life. So-and-so will be 10, this person will be 7.
That's what they call in Dianetics engrams in Scientology. Like you hold a grudge, so you got something in you that's like tight, like this for years. And some people like, I do it a little bit and I try to not do it, but when I see people like, for instance, Teaneck, Inglewood, Hackett, I'll let you go in a moment, bro.
No, we good, bro.
Teaneck, Inglewood, Hackett, we had that tri-town fighting thing going on. Sometime Patterson might jump in or whatever. But so like Teaneck, Hackett dudes used to try to jump me and jump us and all of that. And it was like 20 years later, and I was in this play, and this girl said, my uncle know you. My uncle said they used to kick y'all butt. My uncle said y'all was punks. And I said, when he say that? I told him we was in the play. He told me the other day. I said, we like 40 years old, and he remembering stuff from back when we was teenagers, and he's still on it.
Think he tough. He still think he tough. 40 because the sad thing is, Kamal, sometimes I think I'm tough. And I think I can take on these young bucks, and you just start seeing like, damn, he been running for about 20 minutes.
Yeah.
But I don't think I won't mess with him.
I got the George Foreman.
He runs too much. Yeah.
That's what I'm telling you. I said, I got one good trick, bro. One good trick.
Yeah.
Y'all can dance around if you want, but come out here.
Yeah, get close. I'm not going to do all that moving. You know what I'm saying? When we get older, it's the beautiful thing about growing up. You know what I'm saying? Even respecting, saying to them, like, you know what, my young brother, it's like Busta Rhymes and the T.I. Incident. What Busta is calling T.I. is like, man, you're like my elder. I look up to you. I don't want to battle you. I don't want to challenge you. Like, he even know, bro, you got so many hits. I know I don't have that many hits.
Right.
But you call me out. So I don't have a song that make the people want to jump.
Right.
Don't call me. I'm gonna just respect you as being the elder, and I don't expect for you to run as fast as me.
Right. That's it.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
Oh man. So when is the film gonna come out, man?
Well, with the book is still an Amazon bestseller. It's still selling.
That's great.
And
man.
Yeah, sometimes I talk to a lot of these films. They be like, you know, you want to turn your book into a movie. I'm like, yeah. Then when by the time you really get into it, it just turns into being no one because nobody's there to stand by you. You know, the world is full of like a bunch of people who it's like the crab in the bucket again. Nobody wants to see you become
Right.
higher than them.
That's
Or
true.
because the story is not about me, I feel the story is not important. So many people compare themselves to me and be like, "You're nobody." You be like, you know what? For you to call me nobody, that could, you know, you can say that, but I do tell you this: if Puff Daddy or Jay Z or J Lo walked into a room, they're gonna say, "Hello, Mark Curry, how are you doing?" They ain't gonna even know your name.
Right.
So you
That's
ain't
right.
even got to worry about being comparing yourself to me, because it's a lot of people gonna know me that don't know you, and I don't expect for you to get that same kind of response when you come into a room. So you know, it's great to be that person and be known, but then you say, hey, I'm that person and I'm famous and people know me. But only thing I need is that one person to stand by me to say, hey, if your book is selling and it's number one, I can imagine what your book, what your movie would do. You know, let aside, you know, I feel like your book was bashing Puff and Puff is whatever. You be like, look, if you read the book, a lot of people criticize my book without even reading it. I'm like, how can you sit there and criticize my book and you ain't even picked it up and read it? You don't even know what the book is about. You know, but they be like, nah, you know, because a lot of people don't even read, you know.
Right, right. Most people don't read anymore.
Don't read. So, you know, I always say to people, I say, you know, you may not read, but it's very important to get up every morning, at least pick up a newspaper or turn on the website and read because you want to have different words in your vocabulary, different ways to articulate yourself, other than the average person probably only have a 22-word vocabulary. Everything you have, you be like, shout it, what? Hey, you hungry? Shout it, I'm over here. You be like, shout it, man, hell, everything you say is them same 4 words. You know what I'm saying? You give them a whole sentence. It's gonna be shout it, hungry hill, man, shout it, shout it. You be like, damn, you ain't got no other words because they say because you don't read. You don't know other things to call people. You don't know it's 7 ways to say that same word. It's
That's
7 ways to
right.
express yourself. You know what I'm saying?
That's
You
right.
can't even express yourself if your vocabulary is not.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? You're gonna
Yeah.
be stuck. You know what I'm saying? So I would always read words, different feelings, how to use them in the sentence, how to apply them into my life.
Right. That's right.
So reading is something that they don't do, but you get the ones that critique it and say eye to eye. But then of all, I'd be like, you know, of all of the people who may hate me, which I don't pay attention to because I still have more people in the world that love me. More my good outweighs my bad.
Right.
So no matter what you say about me, I still have somebody else who's going to tell me in a few minutes something more positive.
Right. Well, when I read the book from an artist perspective and a fan perspective, I learned more about the music business and kind of like human nature, just like, you know, a rapper, I'm not going to say names right now, but a rapper taking the deal and blowing the money, you know, because they never had the money, that kind of thing. And like, you can't really blame all of that on Diddy. You know what I'm saying? Like sometimes it's the artist and it's like you said, they didn't read. They didn't know about the game that they was getting into. So it's both. It's like you shouldn't exploit nobody, but at the same time, you shouldn't exploit yourself because you should know. And I mean, it's drama and it's real life, and it gets to like a lot of it is sad, but it's not again because we said like earlier, most record labels, Sugar Hill, whoever, it's the game. The game has a template. Like most labels got a similar template contract, and if you sign it and you do your money wrong. So to me, overall, it was just a lesson. And I think anybody going into the game that would read it wouldn't be mad at somebody, you or Diddy. They'd be more into like, oh, this is what I better not do. You know what I'm saying?
And you don't even have to look at it and be an artist. It's just a walk of life. You can apply that walk of life to your walk of life, no matter if you're working at a warehouse. Working at a warehouse is the same as me working at Bad Boy. You know?
True.
But you know, I always, you know, I said, you know, with the money thing, you say, okay, you know, one of the most amazing things that I often remind myself of, and I'd be like, man, wow, I've been living for 49 years.
Amen.
And of all of the 49 years I've been on living on this earth, I probably only missed about 6 meals.
6 what?
6 meals.
Okay. I
mean, I only
nice,
went
right?
6 times without having nothing to eat.
Right. Yo, it feels good, right?
Feels good. I ain't missed a meal. You know what I'm saying? Some people wake up and they don't know how they gonna eat or where they gonna get a plate of food from because they done burnt all of the bridges of the people they could ask. Or they just so negative. You know, if you're a positive person, if you wake up, only thing you need to do is wake up because somebody's gonna say to you, Kamal, want something to eat?
Yep.
You'd be like, yes. You know what I'm saying? That'd be God talking to you. Get up, we got something to eat for you. But when you're a messed up person and nobody really see, that's what happens when we look at eternal life. I always tell people who take losses, I say to live in the hearts you leave behind is eternal life. So as long as I'm here on this earth, if I just leave and inspire my kid or people around me to never let me die, then I'll always live. But you only die when people can't stand you. They be like, oh, that sucker, that job turkey, or this no good, And you'd be like, damn, y'all killing me. That's really what's going to happen. That's your death. You know what I'm saying? But the eternal life is to live in the hearts you leave behind. So as long as you're a cool person, kind, you handle your business.
Picture.
Yeah.
I want my picture on the wall.
Yeah, I'm gonna get.
That's what I want. I want you to say that was granddaddy.
Yeah,
he was a good man.
Yeah.
This he left us.
Yes, yeah.
That's what I want.
That wall there is a big memory there. But you know, as people, we don't get it fast enough sometimes, and I don't think, you know, I say this: if everybody was to believe in God, there wouldn't be no need for God.
Everybody was to believe in God. Wow, that's deep.
Because everybody would just think that this is life.
Right.
God creates that imbalance so he can create more believers.
That's deep. Happy Sunday, brother.
So you don't expect everybody to believe. But I don't expect everybody to believe. I don't expect for you to walk this way. Because if you walk this way, nobody be walking that way. We wouldn't even be able to define that what you're doing.
Right.
You know, you'd be sitting there like, hey, this person over there doing some dumb stuff. You wouldn't know if it was dumb if they wasn't doing it.
Right.
You be like, thank God for letting my eyes see this, because I won't never do this. You know what I mean?
True.
So it's a learning thing in life.
The flip side of that, man, is like for the ones that he gives it to, when you got that talent, like I said, God said, use all your talents, right? We got to recognize like, oh, snap, I got to do this. And sometimes it don't make sense. And it don't make sense to other people, but that's where the courage comes in to challenge your fears and take a risk and just say, okay, it don't make sense, but God told me to do it. And he put it in me. So I got to manifest it.
Yeah. There's another thing that I do, and I don't mean to always pull out my little words of encouragement.
No, I like philosophers, bro.
Yeah. I say, there was a scripture that I read one time, and my religion is omnism. I'm an omnist.
Omnist.
Yes.
What's that?
That means that if you're a Muslim and you talk to me about something that's truthful, I can believe it. I believe it. If you're a Christian, you talk to me. I'm not biased to any religion. I'm like
the same way.
I'm with the truth. So if you speaking the truth, you talking to me, right? So I say, it was a time I read this one scripture, and it was like, in your time of need, don't worry about what to say. Don't worry about what to do. I'm gonna give you the words to say. And when you speak them, they're gonna know those words didn't come from you. They came from me. So whenever I get into one of those positions, I'll be like, you know what? Let it go. I'm gonna let it go. I'm gonna let God. I'm gonna let it go. I'm not gonna worry about how to use my mind to formulate the words. I'm not gonna think about why I'm feeling the way I'm feeling to make the words. I'm gonna say I'm gonna let it all go and just remain at peace and remain at one with God, and then I'm gonna let God speak. And when God speaks, you'll sit there and be like, did I just say that? Like,
that's right.
I didn't just say that, did I? Because you'll be amazed when you're able to let go and it takes control. Some people can't let go and find that. And that's what confuses them so much in life. You know how somebody say, hey, Kamal, how did you get this? You'd be like, well, I was just humble. I had the will and I prayed for it. They'd be like, you prayed for it? You'd be like, yeah. They'd be like, where did you pray? You'd be like, I was just being thankful and I was praying. How did you do it? Where did you find God? You'd be like, yo, I cannot tell you where to find God in your life.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You're not going to find him the same place I found him in my life. You got to find it on your own. You know, every man carries his own cross is what they call it. You know what I'm saying? You got your own cross. You got your own problem. We create our own giants, bro. It's like, yo, you don't worry about a problem. You be like, because a problem is just something that you possibly could have created yourself. So as soon as you be like, oh, I ran across a problem. You be like, no, shit backfired. It backfired on you, and now you're going to have to figure out another way to maneuver out of that one because it's not going to go that way. Don't blame it on the world and say, I have a problem. No, something that you've done was just wrong. You know what I'm saying? And you have the opportunity to correct it right now. Don't even talk about it. You know, you talking about it. Hey, I just spilled the milk. Okay, you could have picked it up. Nobody even would have had to know you spilled milk.
That's right. That's right. Exactly.
You're telling on yourself and everything. Like, yeah, be quiet, shut up, pick the milk up, and keep moving, right?
That's right.
It's the simplest way to get over any kind of problem, right? But, you know, and man, come on, I love it, man. I just can't wait for this truth. Like, it's a lot of truth that I'm on right now. Like, you know, with my father's first wife, the grandmother from that family is the first Black lady to own record label.
Zelma.
Zell Sanders, down to my father, his singing career, down to my mother, you know, having the religious background that she came from, having all of the Williams brothers and the Jackson Southerners, you know, Brandy and Ray J, all of those is my cousins, you know, those their mother, their grandmother, and my mother's sisters.
Okay.
It's coming from that rich background of goodness, and then, you know, putting it up against, you know, the world as is and the world that we live in. It's just my way of getting out of it. My way of, you know, there's more than one way to climb. You know, if you come across a big mountain, and you're like, wow, this is a big ass mountain, and you got to get to the other side. What you gonna do?
You're gonna think of which way you're going to get around it.
What might
you
be
get over it, or you got to go around it.
Got to get over it, go around it. Some people don't know how to go around it. Cause they got the mountain, they be like, I got to climb it. She's like, you ain't really got to climb it. You either go left or right as far as possible on flat land.
Right. Keep
going around, and you're gonna get to the other side. There's so many different ways to get to the other side, man.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? This was just the book. The movie is almost like it represents being able to get to the other side of the mountain without having to climb it, just go around it, you know, and how powerful, you know, there's things that we don't know of, like clubs back in the days that allow us to perform, to be artists, like, you know, to be an entertainer. They wouldn't let us perform on American Bandstand or at the Cotton Club and things like that. It was called Little Richard and Sammy Davis Jr., the meaning of the Apollo Theater on 125th Street, Hotel Teresa that was across the street that all of the entertainers used to stay at when they was going to go to the 125th Street Apollo. You know, how important that was. You know what I'm saying? Times like when Gaddafi came to New York and stayed at Apollo and came and wanted to give Farrakhan all that money. And they was like, we ain't going to allow him to give Farrakhan that money. He was trying to dump the bag on Farrakhan long time. You know what I'm saying? Hotel Teresa, the people who owned the hotel. My mother had ran her record label out of the Hotel Teresa. Yeah, the Hotel Teresa had a club in it called the Gold Room.
Wow.
Gold Room was ran by a guy named Willie Benjamin, which happened to be the guy that Puff Daddy's father used to work for. So the Puff Daddy story is in there with his dad, the history of that, the history of Harlem, the history of, even from us coming from that and then dealing with the Shugs, and comparing them to the Zell Sanders and the Chess Brothers, the Chess Brothers, every gangster that was a gangster, you wanted a record label. So it's been going on like that. If you're a gangster, you're gonna have a record label and all that. So it's going all the way from then dealing with the gangsters in the 50s all the way to dealing with the gangsters in the 90s. Wow. And everybody's all about the same business.
I remember Hotel Teresa, well, Malcolm X stayed there when he left the nation. He set up his office there. Yep. And then also I remember King's son brought me up in there to Zakiya and Far from Broadway. And that's when Rakim had got on. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So that legacy has still continued.
Yeah. Hotel Teresa, is understanding more about chitlin circuits and what they were. Even when you think of the Underground Railroad, people think that it was an Underground Railroad that Harriet traveled. No, the Underground Railroad was just locations and places that she could stop where people would let them live. Right. Like they would hide them. So the Underground Railroad was going over to Miss Stevenson's house, and we can go in the barn with 15, 20 slaves, and she's not going to tell nobody. We can keep using it, It's underground. There wasn't no train just going underground. And, a lot of people don't understand that. But even in our own lives, if we apply Harriet's story to our own lives, then we say, even as a person, you have to have your own Underground Railroad. That means you got to know when certain things are going wrong in your life, you can go over here. When this is going wrong, you go over here. Right. Different places that you can run and people who are going to take you in. It's done out of love. But again, if your character is not a loving individual, then a lot of these things are not going to be offered for that person. It just depends on the person. This movie, it's about all of that.
Right. Will it feature the James Bond car thieves, or just the fact that Teaneck was known for burglaries, like you mentioned before?
I didn't mention them, but in the movie, what I do, which is almost like them, was when one of the Jewish guys comes home and he goes to his garage, and then he goes in his garage. They're already in the garage waiting on him. So then that's how that normally went.
That's deep. But for the people to know, in Newark, there is car theft. We had a Jersey Drive movie, but in Teaneck, it was so bad that if a neighbor told some of my friends they were going on vacation, their house was robbed. And so we had our whole block almost robbed. A time, about 20 houses on the block. Yeah. And I'd be like, I know who did it. And then sometimes the neighbors would know, I know who robbed my house. And it was sad, but it became a culture.
Yeah. We but some people would think and be like, there's some petty thieves, You'd be like, nah. If you think about the things them people were stealing out these people's houses, them people had diamonds, them people had millions of dollars worth of carpet. Carpet was $1 million.
There was a dude on West Inglewood Avenue from Sony Records. He had platinum records up on the wall and everything. He had the new house on the block, and they got him, man. I was like, how y'all play with his kids, jump in his pool, and then rob his house, man?
Well, every time they dove in the pool, their window was looking left. They looking in the window like this, But hey, that was just a Teaneck. That's just some, certain. You go to California, they known for drugs. You go to Chicago, they known for drugs and murder. You go to Teaneck, they known for breaking and entering. Yeah. That's it. That's the crime, B&Es.
That's probably why my room was in the attic, and I could hear click, like you can step on the step downstairs. I hear it, because I'm like, y'all ain't coming up in here.
Not in here, not today.
I'm ready for y'all, bro.
Yeah. That's how Black Rob was. He was they called him Cat.